Hi guys, I'm back again, yet another video, and here again I'm going to talk to you about task 2 of writing module, and mainly I want to discuss with you the types of questions that are asked in the real examination. Basically they can be divided into 4 different categories which have been written down over here, as you can see. And I'm going to teach you today how to structure your answer for each type of question so that you can get full marks, especially from 2 aspects, namely coherence and cohesion and task achievement. Remember, to get high score in IELTS, you must make sure you answer all the questions that have been asked. And many students don't do that because they cannot structure their answer properly, and that is what I'm trying to solve today. So let's get started. The first one is a very common one, discussion. So as you all know, the question will be something like this: discuss both the views and give your own opinion. So whenever you see a question like this, I suggest following a very special paragraphing to address all the questions. So let's have a look. Do a quick introduction at first. Then in the first paragraph of your body section, talk about the first view. Move on to the second paragraph, talk about the second view. And then do one more paragraph where you clearly give your own opinion. And then in the last paragraph, of course, we conclude things. So this structure will make sure that you address all the questions that are asked. In this case, there are 3 questions. Discuss both views means you have to discuss the first and the second view, and then you have to give your own opinion, which means that's yet another question. So 3 questions, I've got 3 different paragraphs, and 1 paragraph answers each of the questions. So let's take a quick example of this type of question. So we've heard questions about education, we've heard questions about, let's say, pollution, transportation and stuff like that. So let me quickly try to make a question for you. Some people believe that railways is the most effective means of transportation, while others say roadways are far better. Discuss both the views and give your opinion. So now, when you get a question like that, a good answer would be, here I'm going to talk about road, and that's it, nothing else. I'm going to talk about rail in this particular paragraph, and then here I can sit on the fence, meaning I'm going to say, I personally believe that both of them are equally important, and the landscape determines which one is more efficient. So in a mountainous country like Nepal, definitely railways are not feasible in terms of the landscape, and because of the hills and mountains that we've got in our country. So here I'm going to say it depends, and then I'm going to wrap it up with a conclusion. So when I do that, I am making sure that I get good marks for task achievement because I have answered all the questions. And also remember, it is easy to maintain coherence and cohesion. So when I jump from the first view to the second view, I could easily put a connective here saying on the other hand. And when I go to this paragraph, I could start by saying, after examining both sides of the argument, I tend to believe that. So when you have looked at both sides, you personally came up with a belief that both of them are equally important. So something like that can be done, and that should be a good structure that can score even up to 9. So let's move on to the second type of question, opinion. So now this is, I would say, the most frequently asked question. And the question normally sounds something like this: to what extent do you agree or disagree with the given statement? So now, in this case, I would say there are basically 2 ways of doing it. One, you're going to say, I completely agree with the statement, and then you keep talking about the side that you have chosen. Or you could also say, I partially agree with the statement, but I do have some reservations. So I'll talk about both these approaches. So let's begin by agreeing completely first. So if you are going to say, I completely agree with the statement or I completely disagree with the statement, the best thing to do would be to start off with an introduction. Body, in the first paragraph, you tell me you agree, you don't disagree, and then you give me your reason. Don't talk about anything else. Give me a reason why you agree. Elaborate that reason in this paragraph. Move on to the other paragraph and then give me yet another reason why you agree with the statement. So you've got two reasons behind your side, and then you can wrap it up with a conclusion at the end. So this one is, like I said, 100% essay. So you just take one side and you defend that. But on the other hand, you could also do it in a slightly different manner by using reservation. So let me give you an example. So here we're going to do the same. I'm going to say I partially agree with the statement. So this is my first reason behind my view. This is my second reason behind my opinion. And then I move on to a third paragraph where I'm going to have my reservation. So here I can say, even though, and then I can begin with that. So let's say roads are better than railways. Agree or disagree? And I said, okay, of course I agree for a country like Nepal. And then here in my reservation, I could say, even though roads are feasible for a country like Nepal, railways do have some advantages over roadways. So here I'm going to talk about reservation. I'm going to talk about the other side. But remember, you need words like even though, although, in spite of, so that you still tell the reader that this is not your main idea, these are your main idea. So remember, you must make sure the reader understands where you stand. So if he keeps getting confused about where you stand on the topic, then you will definitely not get good marks. So when you do a reservation, I suggest doing 70-30. So 70% of your essay should talk about your primary belief, which is why we said I agree with the statement partially. That is your 70%, and the reservation or the flip side is your 30%. But remember this very clearly: when you do reservations, you must make sure the examiner knows where you stand, okay? So let's move on to the other type of question, double question. So this one I would say is a very straightforward question where you will see two different questions. So when you do your answer, it's pretty easy. Do an introduction, do a paragraph where you answer the first question, do yet another paragraph where you answer the second question, and then you can conclude with a quick conclusion. So an example of this: what are the causes and solutions? So maybe they could give you something like this: what are the causes of obesity and how can we solve it? So you're going to give me a quick paragraph where you talk about the causes, and then another paragraph where you talk about the solutions. The same thing can also be done in a slightly mixed way. So maybe you could say the primary cause of obesity is unhealthy food. So that's your reason. And then in the same paragraph, you can also solve that problem immediately. Now, half of the paragraph is going to talk about problem, and the lower half can be started by saying this problem can be eradicated if people start consuming home-cooked meal. So problem and then solution in the same paragraph, you bundle them together. So you do one paragraph where you talk about problem and solution. You do another paragraph where you talk about the same problem and solution again. So that could be another way. But if you are just a beginner who is a bit scared about the exam, who doesn't know how to write properly or not confident enough, let's say, I would suggest simply doing a paragraph with cause and then another paragraph with solution. So here you could also say you've got two causes for obesity, so you could do two paragraphs for causes and then two more paragraphs talking about the solutions. So that could also be a good way of writing the same thing. So let's move on to the last type of question, hybrid. Now in this type of question, they normally merge two questions. So you will see a small part that says, to what extent do you agree with the statement? And then just after that, you will see what can be done or what other solutions can be effective. So let me give you a quick example of this. Reducing the price of petrol is the best way to solve the growing pollution. Sorry, increasing the price of petrol, not reducing. Okay, and then the question tells you, to what extent do you agree with the statement? What other solutions might be effective? So when you get something like this, remember two things. There are two questions being asked to you here. So that's why your structure is very important. In the first, okay, obviously you start off with introduction, that's pretty obvious. And then you move on to the body section. And in the first paragraph, make sure you clearly tell the examiner, where do you stand? Do you agree or disagree? So you are going to say, I don't agree with the fact that increasing the price of petrol solves pollution. Okay, just saying you don't agree is not enough. This is a very common mistake many students make. You have to give reasons and examples if possible. Reasons are must. So tell me, why do you think so? So your reason behind your argument could be, I believe increasing the price of petrol does not solve the problem of pollution because people will keep buying petrol even if the prices go up. We might sacrifice other stuff, but the general public these days is not willing to sacrifice their luxury when it comes to transportation. So maybe that could be your reason. So the first paragraph tells me, why do you agree or disagree? Once you're done with that, you move on and you talk about the solutions in the second paragraph. So other solutions, so if you want to write two of them, so you could do two paragraphs. Or if you just want to write one, that's fine as well. So that you could do one paragraph where you can talk about two solutions. Okay, so let's quickly recap this one. So for the first paragraph is going to be your introduction. The second paragraph, you are going to tell me why you agree or disagree. And then you're going to do a couple of more paragraphs talking about the solutions. And then obviously you wrap it up at the end with a quick conclusion. So these are the four types of questions that British Council generally uses on your exam day. Be very prepared for all four of them, and especially the second one, because this is what is asked, I would say, about in the 60% of the exams. So make sure you know your structures so that you can at least get good marks from task achievement and coherence and cohesion. Once you secure good marks from these two marking criteria, vocabulary and grammatical range can be added on later on. But these two marking criteria, like I said, are very critical, and make sure you write proper essays within the given time frame so that you have a good habit before you go for the exam. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you.